On a late August Friday night, the college football world turned its attention to Boulder, Colorado, where Georgia Tech and Colorado faced off for the very first time in their histories. The game carried far more weight than just the kickoff of a new season. For Colorado, it was the beginning of another chapter under Deion Sanders, the man known as Coach Prime, who returned to the sidelines after a personal battle with bladder cancer. Declared cancer-free earlier in the year, Sanders' presence alone brought energy and symbolism to Folsom Field, as he looked to guide a roster filled with transfers, newcomers, and young talent into a fresh era. For Georgia Tech, the game was about continuing momentum under Brent Key, whose steady leadership had given the Yellow Jackets back-to-back winning seasons for the first time in more than a decade. Colorado entered the matchup without some of the stars who had defined the Sanders era in previous years, such as quarterback Shedeur Sanders and two-way sensation Travis Hunter. The program instead turned to a new leader under center, Kaidon Salter, a dual-threat transfer from Liberty who had compiled impressive numbers in his previous stop with nearly 5,900 passing yards and 2,000 rushing yards in his career. He was tasked with being the face of a Colorado team eager to prove that the program could thrive even after the departures of its brightest names. The Buffaloes also had to adjust emotionally as the legendary live Buffalo mascot, Ralphie Six, had retired, leaving a noticeable absence from the usual pregame spectacle. Georgia Tech came in with far more continuity, relying on Haynes King, their established quarterback who had grown into a steady dual-threat option, and Jamal Haynes, a reliable running back capable of creating balance in the offense. The build-up to the game reflected the uncertainty that hung over both teams. Bookmakers leaned slightly toward Georgia Tech as a small favorite, setting spreads around 4 points and expecting a game that could hinge on turnovers, ball control, and offensive line play. Analysts predicted a lower-scoring contest, with many leaning toward the under on projected point totals. The sense was that Georgia Tech's cohesiveness, returning stars, and stability would give them the edge, while Colorado would have to rely on the spark of new players and the emotional drive behind Sanders' return. When kickoff finally arrived at Folsom Field, the atmosphere was electric. Fans knew they were witnessing more than just another game. They were seeing a program in transition and another trying to cement its resurgence. Colorado, despite being underdogs, played with heart, while Georgia Tech tried to impose its rhythm through efficiency on offense. Every possession felt heavy with meaning. For Colorado, proof that the new pieces could mesh. For Georgia Tech, confirmation that consistency could outlast emotion. With Colorado missing running back Dallan Hayden due to injury, the Buffaloes leaned heavily on Salter's legs and improvisation, while Georgia Tech countered with its experienced backfield and methodical passing. Throughout the night, the game became a tug-of-war between two identities. Georgia Tech was the seasoned and balanced team, while Colorado was the unknown, unpredictable squad playing with determination and raw energy. Mistakes, particularly turnovers, became pivotal, as Georgia Tech occasionally stumbled and Colorado looked to capitalize on every opportunity. The absence of the iconic Ralphie running onto the field was noticeable to longtime fans, but the crowd still roared at every big Buffaloes play, channeling their energy into Sanders and his new-look team. Beyond the scoreboard, the clash told a bigger story. It showed Georgia Tech's gradual rise back to respectability in college football and Colorado's relentless pursuit of relevance under a coach who had stared down life-threatening illness and returned with the same unshakable swagger. It highlighted the fragility of programs that rely on heavy roster turnover and the resilience of ones that invest in stability. By the final whistle, the result mattered, but what lingered was the sense of renewal. Georgia Tech proving that they were more than a fleeting success, and Colorado showing flashes of what might come as their new quarterback settled into his role. For fans, the night was about far more than betting lines or box scores. It was about emotion, health, tradition, and the uncertain beauty of college football's opening week. It was about a coach who had fought cancer stepping back under the lights, a quarterback taking his first snaps in a new jersey with a fan base watching his every move, and a Georgia Tech team trying to remind the country that its resurgence is no accident. Whether you rooted for the Yellow Jackets' steadiness or the Buffaloes' rebirth, the story of Georgia Tech versus Colorado was one of hope, drama, and the promise of a season just beginning.